Thank you very much. Yeah. Good morning. It's still morning. Good morning. My name is Johnny Rich, which is unlikely but true. And yeah, I know some of you may be thinking Johnny Rich sounds like a Jewish name. It is a Jewish name. I didn't go to a Jewish school though. At my school there were only 3 Jews in my year. And they were called Rich, Silver and Goldberg. We were not doing a lot for the reputation of Jews. Anyway, true story by the way. So yeah, I'm here to talk to you about choosing a university, or choosing without a pen. It's a lame title, I do apologise for that. But just before I begin, can I first of all see how many here are intending to go to uni? Whoa, Forest of Hands, fantastic. Anybody not intending to go to university? Anybody whose arms are being held down by something heavy? No, you couldn't put your hand up. Okay, in that case, let me ask you, first of all, anybody know how many universities there are in the UK? Give me a number. Lots, thank you. Tell you what, obviously it's a slightly useless answer, but I am going to give you a pen anyway. There you go. Now somebody else had an answer. Yes. 86! Wrong. But thank you for playing. Here, have a pen. 200. 200. Have a pen. We've now overshot the mark slightly. 2? No, 2 doesn't even get a pen. Okay, I'm going to... No, I'll give you the answer. 173, 172. No, this is so... Actually, no, I am going to give 130 a pen. Because... I hate to break up the party, but we've only got an hour and there are a lot of numbers out there. So, I'm just going to say that the actual number is 141 universities. So close. I know a lot of you are close, so that's good. That's the official number. Actually, the official number is 142, because the Archbishop of Canterbury, technically speaking, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the man, is a university. Under parliamentary statute, he can walk up to you and he can go, here, have a degree. He's also the only university with a beard. But he's not necessarily a university you want to go to. But anyway, there are 141 universities, 142 if you include the Archbishop of Canterbury, and about 200 other institutions that basically they're universities. They look like universities, they talk like universities, they quack like universities. They are effectively universities. They're not called universities, but you can do a degree there. So you've got this choice of over 300 places to study a university level qualification. How are you going to choose a university? Well, you could, of course, use a pen. Let us imagine that I've got a great big map here. I take my pick with a map that size. A javelin. I shall use this javelin, and I use my javelin. I throw my javelin into the map. I will study there, in the middle of the North Sea. I will not study in the middle of the North Sea. I will drown. I will not get a degree. I will study at the nearest land-based university. Not a good idea. Not a good way to do it. Because here is a frightening statistic for you. 1 in 7 students in the UK drops out or fails. Now we've got how many people here? About 140, something like that. I'm going to say 140 because it makes the maths easy. It means that I need 20. So 5, 9, 14, 18, and you 4. You guys are going to drop out or fail. The rest of you, you're fine. She's looking at me like it's my fault. No, you're not going to. You're not going to because I am here to rescue you. Yes. Now she's looking really worried. No, I'm here to tell you what goes wrong. Why do some people drop out or fail? Hi, come on in, take a seat. I'm here to tell you what goes wrong. Why do some people drop out or fail? Well, it boils down to all sorts of things, but every person has their own reasons. But there is one key thing that many of them have in common, and that is expectations. What they think university will be like is not what it turns out to be. They've got the wrong expectations. Now, it might be that they had exactly the right expectations about university, but not the one they go to. It matters which one you choose. Because if you remember nothing else from this talk, remember this one fact. No two universities are the same. It matters which one you go to. Has anybody been told, oh, it doesn't matter where you go, you'll have a good time wherever you go? Anybody been told that? Yeah. Who told you that? Your mum. You can tell your mum she is wrong. Actually, she fears. Oh, you told her already? Brilliant. Good on you. She is wrong, though. And yeah, there were a couple of people at the back who told you that. People who go to university. Now, how many universities have they been to? One. And they say, oh, they're all the same. That's like eating a sandwich and saying, yeah, all sandwiches are the same. No, they're not. Of course they're not. No two universities are the same. So it does matter which you choose. Apart from anything else, that dropout rate at some universities, that's more than 1 in 3 students. More than a third of the students are not leaving with a degree. At other universities, it's lower than 5%, lower than 1 in 20. So there are lots of variations there. But of course, you could just choose the best university. Anybody know which is the best university in the country? Cambridge, Oxford. I'm now hearing lots of names. And sorry, it's a total waste of our time because actually it was a trick question. There is no such thing as the best university. There's no such thing. I can prove this. I can prove it. Imagine, if you will, that I am a woman. Easily done. I used to be one. Some of you are thinking, yeah, and imagine, if you will, that I am black. I live in Middlesbrough. No, I live in Gateshead. I want to do a part-time degree in social work. In that case, Cambridge, which was the first one you mentioned, terrible university for me. Really bad university. They don't do the course I want to do. They don't do part-time courses. It's about 200 miles from where I live, and they will expect me to move to Cambridge to study it and to live in the university. Their facilities for mature students, not great. Their facilities for childcare, if I've got, let's say, 3 kids, not great. All of these are terrible reasons, or terrible reasons why Cambridge would be terrible for me. Sunderland, on the other hand, Sunderland is just down the street, or just a couple of towns away. Not far away at all. And they do exactly the course I want. They've got all the things I need. So Sunderland is top of my league table. Now, I want you to think about league tables, but only one league table. One league table and one league table alone. And that is your league table. Not any league table you see published in the newspaper. Because that is not the best university for you. It's the best university for whoever wrote the league table. Actually, probably not even the best university for them. It's the university that most fits the criteria they set up. And those criteria are very narrow, and they're probably not your criteria. In fact, I can bet they're not your criteria. So, it is a case of working out which is the best university for you, and doing it not with a pin, but with information and advice, which is what I'm here to talk about. So, that's who I am and what I'm doing here. Let's move on. I'll tell you, before I move on further, let's just remind ourselves. I know most of you put your hands up that you intend to go to university. But why would you want to do this? Why would you want to go to university? There are many good reasons. There's career. There's money. Over the course of your life, if you go to university, you will, on average, earn £100,000 over your life. More than somebody who doesn't go to university. £100,000. Meanwhile, you're half as likely ever to be unemployed. If you do find yourself unemployed, you'll find a new job twice as quickly. So there are some good career reasons. Now, just on that £100,000 figure, let me just warn you, that's just an average. There are some people who will earn a lot more than that. There are many who will earn not a single penny more than they would have done if they hadn't gone to university. But it might still be worth going to university for them, because the job that they do might be the job they want, rather than the job they have to take. Because if you don't go to university, you don't necessarily get to choose a career. have to ask yourself, who will take me? Who's willing to employ me? As opposed to, where do I want to work? Having a career plan, a life direction. You don't have to have it all planned out, but just knowing that you're in control helps. And that's something that people get from university. But there's something more than all of this. Something perhaps even deeper, a deeper reason why you might want to go to university. Imagine, I'm lying on my deathbed. Many years from now, I know. This is my deathbed. I go, oh, grandchild, come to me. I'm too old, I've forgotten the name. I just go, grandchild, come to me. Let me tell you some of the highlights of my life. For 45 years, I went to an office. I got there at 8:30 in the morning. I stayed there till 6 o'clock at night. And worked in day in, day out. No, please, those will not be the highlights of my life. Instead, I'll go, grandchild, let me tell you some of the highlights of my life. For 4 years, I went to university. I got up to some stuff I can't tell you about. You're my grandchild. Actually, I'm about to die, I don't care. And I can look back on my life and say, those are my best bits. It's like seeing, the video of your best bits just before you copy. I get to think back on what were the highlights. And for many people at university, if they choose the right place, it will be an incredibly rewarding experience. And they will get a lot out of it. But you don't have to. Most of the world does not go to university. There are some careers you can't do without going to university. Obviously, you have to study at university to be a doctor. Anybody here want to be a doctor? Quite a few. You guys, just in case you didn't realise, you need to study, and there's a particular subject you need to study. You have to study medicine at university. I think we're all quite pleased about that. I don't want to be in an operating theatre one day and turning to the doctor who's about to put me under and say, so where did you study? Me? Study? No, I'm just good at the needlework. Not what you want to hear. So, being a doctor is one of the ones where you have to go to university. But actually, there are quite a lot of, and you have to study something in particular, there are quite a lot of careers out there that you don't have to study something in particular. Teaching, you don't have to study teaching, or you do, but not to start with. Law, you don't have to start by studying law to be a lawyer. You can study something else and then become one, and then study law. All sorts of things. And there are some things where you might think, oh, you don't have to go to university to be that. A journalist, you don't have to. There's no law that means you have to. But actually, you'll never get your foot in the door if you don't. And also, you don't have to study journalism to be a journalist. Anybody here want to be a journalist or get into the media? Yeah? I'm going to come back to that in a bit. But if you want to be a journalist, as I'm sure you probably know, you do not have to study journalism, you don't have to study media studies, you can study anything you like. And often, those anything you like topics are actually going to be better even than studying something that looks like it's intended for the career. I'll come back to that in a bit. It's an important topic. Anyway, why would you want to go to university? Career, life, fulfillment, etc. Path to happiness, that kind of stuff. Okay, let's move on. Oh, yes, sorry. I need to put that over. So when should you start to worry? Well, worry is the wrong word. I don't want you to worry about your choice of university. Now, I know that, yes, was it yesterday? You had some stuff on personal statements and stuff. And on UCAS, process, all of this stuff. This stuff is not exciting. I'm sorry. But the UCAS process isn't exciting. But it's a means to an end. You have to go through that. Now, people tend to get worried because of the UCAS process. Will I get the offers? Have I written the right personal statement and so on? All of that stuff's important. But don't worry about the big picture. If you're worried about your choice of university, you have missed the big picture. What I'm saying is, in the end, you shouldn't be worried, you should be excited about a choice of university. You should be, if you're choosing a holiday, you don't get worried. You don't go, oh no, which Greek island am I going to lie on this summer? You get excited about it. You go online, you check it out, and you go, oh, fantastic, with this and that, and it's going to be so great. It should be the same when you're choosing a university. You should be thinking to yourself, when I get to university, I'm going to have all these opportunities. If that's not what you're thinking, then I would suggest either you don't know enough about the university you've chosen, or it's the wrong place for you, or maybe university isn't right for you right now, maybe later, maybe take a gap year or a couple of gap years. But actually, there's so much choice out there, so many universities out there, that you probably can find one that suits you. Anyway, when should you start to, in that case, think about this? Let's say think about it, rather than worry. Anybody know the deadline for UCAS? 15th of January. Spot on. Who said that? You can have a USB stick. I know. The prizes are getting better. Okay. But, she's technically right. She's technically right, but actually, I want you to forget that date. I would like you to forget that date too. It is not really January the 15th. January the 15th, question. September. You're just after a USB stick, aren't you? They're trying it on. I like your chutzpah. There you go, Keith.
Thank you.
It says Keith on his shirt. Or are you just a big Keith Harris fan? Keith Harris and all that? Maybe not. Anyway, September is a good answer, actually. September is a better answer than January. January is technically correct, but September, I would say actually October, is the real deadline. Anything, if you leave it till January, it's like turning up to a party late. All the drink has gone. All you're left with is something blue in a bottle that looks decidedly dodgy. And you want to get there when there's still loads of stuff. Loads of stuff means getting there in September or October. Getting your application in. Nice and early. And the school has deadlines, doesn't it, that are earlier than the January deadline. So, but we could just leave this. You know, even if we said it's October, we could just leave this for a few months. Why are we talking about it now? Well, in October, of course, once you've decided where you want to go, you're going to need to write an application that nails you that job, or nails you that place at uni. You want to win it. So that's going to take that term, or a few weeks in that term. Over the summer, you could leave it till then. Why don't we leave it till the summer? We've got long holidays. Well, if you've got any questions, and you need to phone a university, the university won't give you answers at university over the summer. They'll give you an answer machine, which ironically doesn't give you answers. You'll phone them up and they will not be able to answer because they're on holiday too. So now we have to wind it back to now. That's why you're having all of these sessions now, because now is the time to nail this, to work out what you want to study and where you want to study it, and start to write an application that will get you in place. So, I'll show you the rest of what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about courses. I'm going to talk about all the other stuff that isn't to do with courses. And I'm going to talk about where to find out more information. Now, first up, courses. Who here's decided what they want to study? Quite a few of you wanted to do medicine already. Yes, this is the young lady. Technical theatre and management. Fantastic. I will come back to you in just a second. Someone else. Yes. Theology and religion. Right. Now this is interesting. We have got two very different answers here. We've got theology and religion and something theatre-y. Something desperate. So am I right in assuming that you want to work in a theatre? No, obviously not. You want to work in a theatre. And you have an interest in religion. Yeah. It's like Darren Brown is in the room, isn't it? What I've done here is I have worked out how you two arrived at what you wanted to study. You have done the two classic things. The first classic thing, and both of these are really good approaches. The first classic thing is, what career do I want? You've asked yourself, what do I want to do for a job? What's the best thing to study to help me get that career? Now, as I already said, sometimes that isn't entirely obvious. Sometimes even the thing that looks obvious may not be the best thing to study. Now, I don't know how much research you've done into this, but it may well be that getting the job you want, it might be that there are other courses, less obvious, that in the past have proved to be the more successful route. Always worth researching. You, on the other hand, I'm going to guess, you don't quite know what you'd like to do with the rest of your life. You do? What would you like to do? A teacher. Okay, oh, well, that's interesting. To be a teacher, you could have studied anything. You could have studied anything. So you have done the other classic thing, which is to say, what do I enjoy? This is really important. Even you need to study something you enjoy as well. Everybody needs to study something they enjoy, even if they know what career they want. Because if you do a course that you don't enjoy, to prepare you for a career, you're not going to enjoy the career, are you? If you don't enjoy 3 years of studying it, you're not going to enjoy 45 years of doing it. So study something you enjoy, and you can enjoy what you study, and you can enjoy what you do, and you will probably get a better grade as a result, because you've been more committed to your studies. And being committed to your studies, this is important. When it comes to choosing a university, you've got to love your course. If you don't love your course, you won't be committed. And so if you're going to study maths at university, you've got to be the sort of person who loves numbers. When your alarm clock goes off in the morning and it says 7, 1, 3, you think, I love those numbers. Those are good numbers. If that's not you, then don't study maths. Study something else. Because you'll leap out of bed going, I love numbers. Yes, I'm off to go and have my 9 a.m. trigonometry lecture. Get in. That's what you should feel about your course, ideally. But actually, it's about a lot more than just the course. In fact, I would say the course is not even the thing that occupies you most at university. It's often the only thing people think about when they choose a university. It shouldn't be, because there's a lot more to life than just the course. In fact, most of your time at university will not be spent studying. Even if you're studying really hard, 8 hours a day, that still leaves 16 hours a day, twice as much time, when you're not studying. You're asleep, some of it. All of it, maybe, if you're a student. No, actually, that's not fair. Students are not dossers. They have this reputation, but they're not. Most of them work pretty hard. And some of them will be asleep, let's say 8 hours. That's still, even that leaves 8 hours a day for other stuff. When you'll be, I don't know, doing a part-time job, or hanging out with your mates, or drinking, or doing sport, or doing other stuff, whatever you'll have a whole load of other things. This other 16 hours a day when you're not working, this is the time you'll look back on. 20 years from now, you'll be down the pub with your mates, and you'll go, oh, I remember this time at university, we had this lecture on the Nicomachean ethics of Aristotle. It was so fun. No. That is not what you'll be saying down the pub with your mates. If that's what you're saying down the pub with your mates, you will not be down the pub with your mates. You'll be down the pub on your own. Instead, you'll be down the pub with your mates and you'll be going, oh, I remember this night at university. And actually, no, I don't remember the night all that well. I remember the morning after. I remember waking up with demolition workers in my forehead, and my tongue felt like one of Gandhi's flip-flops. And there was a policeman's helmet in my bed, and there was a policeman still in it, whatever. You will have your own stories about how you spend your time at university. And I have identified 8 factors. 8 factors that really home in on that other time at university when you're not studying. And things that I would like to encourage you to think about when choosing the right place for you. So, first of those is, where is it going to lead? Back to this whole career thing again. Which is the right course to end up doing what you want to end up doing? Does your course lead? The course and the university you've chosen, is it really the best preparation? Because you might study your course, your THESP course, one place, or you might study it one other place. I don't mean to sound derogatory, I just can't remember what it was you said. You might study it one place, and it will be great preparation. They have got a long history of sending people off to the National Theatre or something. Other places, they won't have any record of that. In fact, they've got great reputation of sending people off to somewhere else. The Dolby. Or wherever. Okay. And also, what will you stand to earn? Does anybody know what is the best paid course in the UK? Anybody want to have a guess? Or which university it might be from. Yes, sorry. History? No. No, it isn't history. Economics was good. Economics is one of the top three. Law is also right up there. Dentistry is good. No, actually, the best paid course, generally, if you're looking around, the best paid courses do tend to be economics. But I know you said economics. And well done you. Okay, you can have a prize. But actually, the single best paid course in the country is from Imperial. Imperial University. And I believe you had Jane Marshall here the other day from Imperial. And the students who have studied maths at Imperial, 6 months after leaving university, on average, they are earning £30,000, which is more than any other course. And it is worth knowing that. But I've got 7 more factors to get through. So let's think about location. Where in the country do you want to study? Now, I don't know about you guys. Maybe you love your parents very much. You can barely bear to be parted from them to be here today. Maybe the umbilical cord has not yet been cut, I don't know. If that is the case, then obviously you're going to want to study at a local university. And there are local universities. There's about 48 universities in London. And is it Middlesex? It's just around, no, Westminster has a campus not far from here. So you could stay at home, live at home, and study at a local university. But obviously you're narrowing your choice quite considerably. It may be that the best university for you, if you ignore location, is not one of the ones that you can get to within a couple of hours. So, also maybe that's not what you want to do. You don't want to live at home. Maybe, and maybe you think like this, you think about your parents and you think, I have lived with these 2 people for the last 17 years. I never chose to live with them in the first place. I would like to get as far away from them as I possibly can. If that is you, you might think, right, I'm going to study on a remote island off the west coast of Scotland, or Lewis, where there's a campus of the University of the Highlands and Islands Millennium Institute. It has a campus at Stornoway on the Isle of Lewis. There are only about 20 students, and some sheep, and that's it. I don't know what the sheep are studying. But obviously, that takes a long time to get to Lewis. It costs a lot of money. These are things you may not be but the one thing you do know for sure is your parents are not going to turn up and go, oh, surprise, we thought we'd come for a visit. Lovely room. Who's that, you bet? Maybe the policeman. You may think, actually, there is no right answer to this, by the way. No 2 universities are the same. No 2 people are the same. Whichever university is right for you may not be right for someone else. And that's just partly down to location. How far away do you want to go? But also, what kind of place do you want it to be? It doesn't take a genius to realise that if you studied at the London School of Economics, you might study economics at LSE, which is just off the Aldwych in central London. You've got the theatres, you've got the nightclubs, you've got the buses, you've got everything that London has to offer right there on your doorstep. It is going to be a fundamentally different experience from studying economics in a field in Staffordshire, or the University of Kings, it's otherwise known, which is in a field in Staffordshire. Now that doesn't mean it's better to be at LSE than Keele. It doesn't mean it's worse. It means it's different. And it's up to you to work out which one is right for you. Because, of course, that affects the next one, which is atmosphere. But it's not just the location that affects the atmosphere, it's all sorts of things. It's sort of the mood of the place. We mentioned Cambridge earlier. Cambridge has a weird atmosphere. Strange place. They work intensely hard. They do sports intensely hard. They do drama intensely hard. They do politics intensely hard. It's about the most intense educational experience you can have with your clothes on. But at the other end of the spectrum, there's a place. Sorry, I'm getting funny looks. It would be intense. That's all I said. At the other end of the spectrum, there's a place called Lampeter. Now, Lampeter is in rural Wales. Small town in Wales. They have a campus of the University of Trinity St David's there. It's very laid back. Completely different. It's so laid back, it's almost horizontal. It's chill. And that doesn't mean that it's better than Cambridge. It doesn't mean it's worse. It means it's different. And some of you will thrive in the intensity of Cambridge. Some of you will thrive in the more laid-back atmosphere of Lamberton or somewhere else. And often atmosphere is not just that sort of thing. It's also the people. Students are all sorts of different people. And different universities have different people. They have, some universities are very arty. Some universities are very sciencey. Some universities are very businessy. Some universities have lots of overseas students. Some universities have lots of local students. Some universities have lots of mature students. Mature students means they're 21 or over when they start their course. Now that may be fine. That may mean that they're in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, their 50s even, when they're studying their course. And at the end of the day, what do they want to do? Well, it may be that what they want to do is go home to the wife and kids or the husband and kids and put their feet up in front of the TV and watch EastEnders or something. Maybe that's what you want to do at the end of a hard day studying. Maybe not. I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't do, but if perhaps that's not what you want, maybe you're the sort of person who, at the end of a hard day studying, you want to say, hey guys, let's have a party, let's wrap ourselves in sheets and call it a toga party. If that's you, and you go to a university full of mature students, you could be the only one in a sheet. That could be embarrassing, as I know. I think I'll move on. Less said about that, the better. Let's talk about money. Money is the next one. And when it comes to being a student, money is a 4-letter word. So, okay, money is a 5-letter word. Debt. Debt is a 4-letter word. And that is what you will have. You will not have money, you will have minus money, which is known as debt. Nice and scale. There are some other 4-letter words I could but will not use about student finance. And I'm sorry if this is a great revelation to you, but you will be poor as a student. It is true, students are in debt when they graduate. Almost every single one. In fact, on average, you guys will probably owe £50,000 by the time you graduate. Now that sounds like a lot of money. And it is a lot of money. That's why it sounds like a lot of money. But it is nowhere near as much as the £100,000 extra you stand to earn. Also, it's not real debt. It's called a debt, but actually, there's something you should know. Although it's called a debt, you shouldn't think of it like that. Because if I lend you a fiver, I will want my money back. Sorry. I will want my money back at some point in the near future. Quite possibly, I will want more than £5 back. I will want interest. However, this money, if you get a student loan, and you will almost all, I would imagine you will all be entitled to a student loan, you will be lent the money for your fees and some money to live on, maybe not quite enough, but you will be lent the money for your fees and most of your living expenses. And you won't necessarily have to pay a penny of it back. You will only have to pay anything back if you earn a decent wage. And of course you want to earn a decent wage. If you earn £21,000 or more, then you will have to pay back 9% of anything above that. So, £22,000, you will pay back 90 quid every year. And you will only have to pay back more than that if you can afford to pay back more of that. And if after 30 years, you still haven't paid back the whole amount you owe, they'll go, forget it, don't worry about it. So if you never get a well-paid career by going to university, it's like a guarantee. If you don't get a good career out of it, you won't have to pay it back. If you do, you will. And the more you earn, the more you'll have to pay back. So it's worth knowing that. But it's also worth knowing no two universities are the same. That means no two universities cost the same. Now, I'm not talking about the fees. There's some variation, but forget that. It's not really relevant, the variation in fees. The things that are important are that at some universities, you will get given money. They will go, here you go, have a bursary. Money for nothing. Or it's not quite for nothing, it's money because you got certain grades, or because you did a certain subject, or because you have certain skills, or because you're from a disadvantaged background, or because all sorts of other different things. You might be given money. And at one university you might get hundreds or even thousands of pounds a year. At other universities you will get nothing. So find out where you, personally, would get money. Also, nothing costs the same from one university to another. If I go into a pub in central London, I hand over a fiver. I'm lucky if I get any change when I get my pint. But if I go into the student bar at Liverpool John Moores University, I hand over a fiver, I can buy a whole round for me and my mates. Now, admittedly, I don't have many friends, but no, I could buy, say, 3 drinks for a fiver and a coin or 2. But basically, different things cost different amounts. And I'm sure that none of you drink ever. Well, maybe a little kiddish wine, but apart from that, none of you ever drink. But it's well worth working out the price of a pint of beer at each university, because it's a good indicator of other costs. And one other cost, the biggest one apart from your fees, is going to be your living expenses, what it costs to live. Now, if you study at the Royal College of Music, or Royal Academy of Music in Kensington, Royal Academy of Music, the students there pay an average of £166 per week for their housing. Whereas the students at Teesside University in Middlesbrough pay an average of £48 per week. Over £100 cheaper. So all other things being equal, money might be the deciding factor between 2 places. Because one place will be heavily in debt, and other places you'll have much lower debts. Possibly even none. Anyway, let's move on. I mentioned accommodation, the cost of accommodation, but there's loads of other things about housing worth thinking about. Typically, at university, you will live in a hall of residence. You've probably heard that expression, hall of residence, for your first year, typically. Not true everywhere, but typically. And a hall of residence is a block of student rooms. Might be 20 rooms, might be 500 rooms. And typically, that room will be sort of 2 metres by 3 metres. You will have, in it, a bed, a wardrobe. You may not be able to open the wardrobe because the bed is in the way. A desk you can't sit at because the bed is in the way. And a little desk lamp you can't plug in because the bed is in the way. And it may be that you also have 10 people have to share a shower, which may be fun. No. Or you may have 20 people who have to share a kitchen, which may be great. Maybe the shared kitchen is the social hub, and that is where you will make your best friends. You remain friends for life. It may be that's great. Or it may be that if you keep kosher, and all the people in your kitchen, they just love bacon butties, it may be that it's a really uncomfortable situation. So, well worth working these things out. But this typical room I talked about, sometimes, actually, it's not quite typical. They tend to be a little bit better than that now, but not everywhere. Some places, they're not as good as that. They're only a bit bigger and 2 people have to share. Or sometimes they're lovely. Sometimes you've got a nice big room with a nice comfy bed, an armchair, ensuite bathroom, carpet that makes your feet go, Actually, one university, Durham University, has a castle. Seriously, Durham Castle is part of Durham University. Each year, about 50 students get to live in Durham Castle. And there are about 9,000 students who don't. We get too excited. But, but some universities, they don't have any housing. Nothing. Or so little that you're not going to get to live in it. And others will give you housing all 3 years. Now, it may be that you don't want to live in a hall of residence. That sounds terrible to you. You'd much rather find your own place. Fine. Go to the university where that's the expectation, where you can do that, and where there's plenty of good quality, cheap accommodation available in the right location. Let me move on. Fun. Woohoo! I don't know what you guys like doing for fun. Anybody like clubbing? Yeah? A couple of raised eyebrows. Yeah, I like clubbing, but I'm not going to say so. I'm talking about night clubbing, not baby seals, by the way. If you like clubbing, you could do a lot worse than go to Manchester. Manchester's great nightclubs. Sheffield, Leeds, Brighton, London, although they're expensive in London. Or maybe clubbing's not your idea of fun. Maybe your idea of fun is punting on the river, having a picnic on the banks, under a willow, with your teddy bear under your arm and your sensitive friend. If that's your idea of fun, you probably belong in a 1930s novel. But actually, if that's your idea of fun, you'd be better off at Oxford, Cambridge, Durham, Bristol, Exeter, places like that. Now, maybe neither of those appeal to you, maybe something else appeals to you. It's often a good idea to work out where are the entertainments that appeal to you. But often the best entertainments are not what's available in the local town. It's what's available at the university. I mentioned Manchester for clubbing. One of the best nightclubs in Manchester, one of the best nightclubs in the country, is a place called the Academy. The Academy belongs to Manchester University. Sorry, no, actually it doesn't. It belongs to the students of Manchester University. The students of Manchester University own the nightclub. They decide the bands that play there, the DJs that play there, they decide the prices behind the bar, they decide the dress code on the door, there isn't one. Now, no wonder it's such a great nightclub. The students run it for themselves. And many universities have a fantastic, professional, student-run nightclub. Others have a hall, like this one, that they use for a bop. And a bop involves somebody getting their iPhone out and putting it onto the speakers. And everybody stands around like this. And, you know, they have flashing lights, but only if someone stands by the switch and goes like that. But maybe they don't have a great nightclub, but they do have a brilliant comedy night, or a brilliant theatre, or a brilliant, or something else that actually is more what you want. A great comedy night, I said that already, in the cinema. You know, whatever it is that appeals to you, you may well find that there is a university out there that caters to your idea of fun. Talking of fun, the next one is kind of the same thing, but it's a different side of that coin. I've separated it out and when I talk about interests, this is the stuff you do because it interests you, not just because it's fun, but it gets you going. Anybody here like sport, for example? Yeah, we've got quite a few people into sport. If you're into sport, you could do a lot worse than go to Loughborough University. Loughborough is famous for its sport. Loughborough, little known fact, at the last Olympics, 1 in 4 of the British Olympic team either had studied at Loughborough University or were still studying at Loughborough University. And if Loughborough had been a separate country at the last Olympics, they would have been 9th on the medal table. That's pretty impressive, and that's because they've got amazing sports facilities that attract sporting heroes to come and study there. But also, there are some universities which have no sports facilities at all. Courtauld Institute, by the way, no sports facilities of its own whatsoever. You can use London universities, but it hasn't got any of its own at all, except a ping pong table. And I don't guarantee they've got bats, you know. But they do have one of the world's most valuable collections of art on the walls, which, let's face it, given that all the students